great big lady. Nurse came in and she said, roll over. And I felt like I was just barely holding together where they'd done the incision. I said, I can't. And man, she she flipped me over. So I found out I could.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
So
Y'all hauled me back to Beckwith.
hauled him back to Beckwith.
You were going to school too then, somewhere in there. Or when did you
No.
start
No, he
going back to
graduated.
school?
See, I graduated from college.
He stayed out a year.
Okay.
From
I stayed out.
52, started seminary in the fall of 53.
Oh, okay.
So we were
Yeah, just over a year.
right. And during that year, didn't I work up at Fort
You
Pope?
worked at Fort Pope. You were in the school of the cooking
Yeah, I worked up at the cooking school.
clerk.
I was a clerk typist, North Pope, that for that job that year.
You're teaching cooks?
No, I was a clerk typist.
No, but where you were.
Yeah, they were
that
teaching
it
cooks.
was cooking school for Army cooks.
Okay. Probably ate pretty good.
Yeah, we
We
did.
did.
We did. They were trying to have a little bit of everything. And then, let's see, that was 52.
To the fall of 53.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started seminary in New Orleans. And we would go down on Monday and come back on Friday nights.
And you rode most of the time? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
out there?
We stopped at Frank's sandwich shop, I believe is what it was called, in Opelousas.
Mm-hmm.
And would eat lunch on Mondays. And they fed you rice and gravy.
Free.
Free.
No.
Free.
Oh,
They fed that baby.
You were their boy. They took care of you. And the we was Ornette McCoy, Virgil Wilson,
Beer sense.
Devere Sampson, and Leonard Gio.
They would have a car full, no air
And
conditioning.
Daddy and I, and you.
Goodness, what is that, 6, 7 people?
Well, I guess sometimes it was, and
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah.
3 in the back, yeah.
Yeah, and an old car, no air conditioning, and an old 4-lane. I mean, it was just, you just got in there and rode, you know.
Now, most of that was blacktop by then. There's 190, most of it.
Yeah.
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 I don't think we had any gravel
Mhm.
road. Now, we had some shell road when we took Ornette's shortcuts.
Yeah, yeah. But, and you had some kind of a dress that
I
you
had a
vomited,
nylon,
you vomited on one day.
I had a nylon, puckered nylon dress. That was the thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
You could wash those things, hang them on a rack, and they just dried, and you put them on again and go. And you had taken a bottle of milk and took a little nap, woke up chugging all over that puckered stuff. No clabbered milk was all in each pucker. And you know, it took it was a good ways before we got to a place where we could stop and let me get out and clean us both up. And so we had quite a routine going about how
When did I get that little teddy bear?
that Christmas, 53.
53.
I believe that's right. Now you may have had him for the first Christmas, but he went with us that
I know I
53.
chewed the nose
Yeah,
off of him. Well, I didn't chew it off, but
Yeah.
I still got that thing at the house.
Leonard Gio, who lives in DeQuincy, he rode with us. He taught you how to shoot cars,
Trucks.
trucks, bang.
No.
For Leonard. And sometimes it'd be, I don't know why, maybe one of the other guys was married by then. And that their wife,
Virgil,
his
Virgil,
wife
I
would
mean.
want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometime later you had to stay in New Orleans some.
Well, we might say our first place to live down there was Florida Avenue Housing Project, which I'm sure right now is
Police won't even go to it now.
rough. But,
Just let that thing go.
we had a brand new apartment, cement floors, but it was, I mean, just as clean as no one had ever lived in.
Yeah.
And it cost us $28 a month.
I think that included utilities.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness.
And, we were, and there
We had a
other
bathroom.
students lived there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd about 2 or 3 miles from the seminary and we'd go back and forth together.
But then when Virgil married, well, Eunice moved down there also, and they also had a apartment
Mm-hmm.
in Florida Avenue. And Eunice, one time she went back the first weekend after they got there because they had things they needed to take care of, and I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they pulled off, you know, the tears were coming down my cheeks. And you and I were there. And Eunice, I think they told me later, had made a comment about something about what I was crying about or something. And the next weekend she got to stay.
So she found out what it
She
was.
found
found
out what
out.
it was all about, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I remember the second year we were down there, we lived on Miraboo on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the weekends that I had to stay down there, I was expecting Bruce then, I guess. Must have been like in November or something like that. Anyway, I took you and we walked to Gentilly and we caught a bus. I don't know if you knew this or not. We caught a bus and went downtown
Mm-hmm.
and went into Sears store. And I bought 4 paint by number pictures. There were birds.
Mm-hmm.
And then we caught the bus and we came back. And I don't know, probably by the time you got back Monday night, we had 4 painted bird pictures. I remember that red bird. I wonder what happened to those.
And you were eating dirt right behind the little old,
The swamp dirt.
the old, it was really an old army barracks they had fixed into apartments there. And so one day we had somebody with us for dinner, for lunch or something.
I don't know if we had anybody with us or not, but I do remember that I had decided I was gonna break you of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd get you out of the yard, and I mean the dirt was all around your mouth. And so when we had lunch on the table and so forth, and I put you in the high chair, and then I set before you a plate of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it kind of backfired. You started eating it. I had to grab it away from you. Oh, goodness.
That's good.
And then we got old Brucem on January the 15th of 1955. As he said, the Southern Baptist Hospital. He was Baptist from
Oh, yeah.
here to there.
Where'd he go?
And
And what time of day was he born? Was
he
it
was
early
born
morning?
about 8:28
On a Saturday.
on Saturday.
On Saturday. Oh,
Saturday.
We decided the night before I went to the hospital, must have been Thursday night because I went in the hospital on Friday evening, that we would name him Bruce Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
We had a friend in DeRidder who had a son named Bruce. And-
Out at the junction.
Junction, yeah. Bruce Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
And
Where did Lynn come from?
the Lynn, I can't remember. We had a baby book that had names. But then, no. Originally, though, his name was going to be Judy Ann.
Oh.
And the night before we went, that's what we decided, that we might better pick out a boy's name just in case.
Mm-hmm.
So we picked out Bruce Lynn. So we got Bruce Lynn. He came into the world you came into the world with the prettiest head, little blonde fuzz, just a pretty little one. He came into the world and he had a yellow complexion, he had some jaundice, and he had black hair, and it was just come down
Like
a
it
little
grew
peak,
right down
and
to
on his
eye.
back it just kind of
Looked
like
like a little monkey.
he was a hairy little creature.
And I was the dutiful preacher.
Pastor.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as he was born, I stayed till about 1 o'clock. And it was raining cats and dogs, and I got in my car and drove 200 miles, 250 miles to Beckwith to preach
Yeah.
Sunday, and then came back.
Came back.
Left her there. But DeVere Sanson's wife had come down.
Yes.
No? Were you by yourself, or was she?
I was by myself.
Yes,
No,
she-
wait, no. Take that. She had come down, but she took Danny back with her to the river when y'all went back. And then she came back on the following Monday evening. And she and DeVere stayed there at our apartment, and they kept you.
Mm-hmm.
Not B.
First wife. Billy.
Not Billy.
She's the one that died in a boating accident.
Right. She drowned. And
She was a sweet lady.
and after 10 days, well, they I got out of the hospital on Sunday morning. Who was it came to get us? Somebody had you and Billy, and it was one of our friends there that was staying on campus for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And we came to the hospital, and we went home.
Mm-hmm.
And you were glad to see your mama. You couldn't come to they wouldn't let children go in the hospital then. So I had not seen you for 10 days.
Mm.
And we had a reunion.
But when it was just you and Ela down there, before Bruce was born, one weekend she couldn't go back with me. And she would get so lonesome down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a friend I was in class with, and one day we were talking, and he said, well, I said, where do you preach? He said, at Evergreen. I said, well, that's unusual. I said, my wife is from Bunkie. He said, well, I don't know where Bunkie is. And I said, well, it's just about 7 miles from Evergreen. And anyway, we talked and I didn't really catch the point of the him not knowing where Bunkie was.
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah, go ahead.
And anyway, he and his wife would go to Evergreen every weekend to preach. So I said, well, she's going to have to spend the weekend here with her son. I said, could they ride up there and you drop them off at Bunkie? And he said, well, she'll tell me where Bunkie is, be okay. So we made the arrangements, and I think on Friday, before I was to take off and they were to take off too,
Mm-hmm.
he and I got to talking again, and all at once it dawned on me. He was talking about Evergreen, Alabama. And just at the last minute.
You almost got to go to Alabama.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Just really, we laughed about that. It would have been rather funny, though, if they had.
No, they didn't put up
Then
with
I think there was some crying going on because he thought she was going to get to go home.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Would y'all ever get out of state much? Back then? Probably not. Wasn't much reason to get out of state.
After Bruce was born, before the summer, we went he preached a revival for the same brother Paul Kirk that was at Bethel. He was pastor at Goche, Mississippi. And Daddy preached a revival over there.
Mm-hmm.
And we went over there for the weekend.
Now, when you were going to seminary, were you going just 2 semesters or summer 2 or what?
Oh, you'd go 2 semesters and off in the summer. And so then in the summer I'd work. I'd find me a job somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Work for they were blacktopping that road out toward Beckwith.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd had it out a little ways, and they were finishing it to Singer. So I got out there, finished school, I guess, in May, and went and found Fontenot or Boudreau, a Frenchman running the crew that was putting in the blacktops and little culverts and bridges. And I remember I told him I was pastor of that church. They'd go blacktopping in front of it, and I needed a job. And so he began to interview me, and he said, "Well, you mean you finished college and you're nearly through with a master's degree, and you want to work here on a road?" And I said, "Well, I said I got to work somewhere, and I want to work here." So he kind of laughed at me, and I hadn't done anything. I've been going to school all year. So he said, "Okay," he said, "jump in my pickup." He took me down there to a little bridge or a little small, what do you call it, covered. And he said, we finished this thing, and the 2x6s and 2x4s, the framework needs to all be knocked down. And said, "Here's a sledgehammer." Said, "I'll come back and check on you in the afternoon." And so I got it, as water up, and about that much space under that thing to get up under and knock that wood out. So I slammed, and he came back about 2 o'clock, and he stopped his truck and looked at me and said, "Well, I believe you do want to work." And so when I got home that night, I think Ela had to get outside and
I had to hose him down.
hose. How did you hose?
Didn't hose you down.
We had water drawn. You'd throw it on me or something anyway. Then about a week later.
We didn't have a pump by then?
I don't know. I think we ever had a pump there. Don't remember. But anyway,
I must have thrown buckets of water on it.
but anyway, they were pouring concrete, and so he put me on the rock pile, just with a short wheelbarrow. Go load it up, run, dump it in the thing, and go back. Mixer. And it was started after lunch, I think, on that, and after an hour or so, I passed out. And when I came to, they were all laughing. They said, "Well," said, "we put 2 seasoned men on the rock pile, and said, we just wanted to see if we'd kill you."
Great.
After that, they treated me
Pretty good.
They took care of me after that.
Now let's see. Who was it that lived behind the church there in Beck?
Aunt Stella and Uncle Richard Slayton. As we said this afternoon, your playpen at her house was a horse collar thrown on the floor, and she'd sit you in the middle of that. That was before you started crawling around real good.
I remember spittoons.
She had a spittoon, and that was my fear, was you was going to get into that spittoon and turn it over.
Boy, she could hit it, boy.
Part of our survival during that time was Daddy would help her with the gardening, Uncle Richard, and I would help her do the canning, and half of everything that we put up they gave to us. So we had canned everything
for the school term.
Yeah. And we always took a gallon of milk from Mama and Papa's, because they had a milk cow, and a glass jug, glass jug. And we never had it spoil on us, not ever.
They have to put it in the trunk.
In the trunk. And
of course, we must have not had much suitcases. We didn't have much to carry, did we?
I don't know, but I'd love to go back to that day. We didn't have much to
Because
carry.
there'd be several of us, in there, and those old cars weren't that big.
Yeah.
But you may do. Might have been an old bag or something like that. I don't know that we had suitcases.
I don't remember that.
Now, I got some vague memories too of Beckwith. When did you leave Beckwith?
In 55.
I was with 3.
June of 55.
Must have been maybe with you going back there sometime later, because I can remember brother.
Yes, that was there. You remember him.
And his mother, can't remember her name.
Miss Fanny.
Fanny. That's right.
She always, on Sunday night, I'd find a package of crackers for you, a small jar of instant coffee for me,
Mm-hmm.
and a dozen eggs. Maybe some tea bags for Daddy, because at that time he was not drinking coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And that was,
But I remember visiting out there.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they lived in an old house, had a fireplace.
He was about 40 years old, and
I don't
think
remember him
maybe
being that old. He seemed like a younger
he
person.
was a tall. He was a tall. Well, he had a young look to him, but I think he was about 40 at that time.
Or maybe that was when he died, maybe 40, 45.
Maybe so.
I
But
remember
he had
one
been,
time,
he had I guess a muscular
Muscular dystrophy
dystrophy
or
or something like that.
I remember one time we were at their house on a Saturday, Friday night for a prayer meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And Wayne had run away from home. He and somebody else. While we were in New Orleans, when we came in, everybody was all upset because Wayne and this other boy had run away from home. And my daddy, I remember him saying, I don't care where he is, he can stay there the rest of his life. Have nothing to do with him. Well, anyway, we went out to the Rice's for a prayer meeting on Friday night after we got in from school. How do we do that? Because usually it was kind of late. Maybe school had been out or. But anyway, I think Daddy or somebody showed up at their house.
No, we got back to their house, to your Mama's house,
Okay.
and we got word that they had found them in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
Lakeland, Florida, and they found them in there weaving baskets.
Been
Trying to earn
arrested
their money.
for truancy, I guess, or runaways and put in jail.
And by the time we got there to the house on Saturday night, Papa had
On
already.
Friday night.
Friday night, he had already chartered a plane to fly to Florida the next morning.
And wanted me to go with him.
Yeah, but you gotta let him go, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't.
So we got up at daylight, or we're over at the airport at daylight, and when the sun set, we were back.
Mm-hmm.
We took off in this little four-seater.
Now, he just got Wayne. He didn't get the other board.
No?
His parents, I think, were driving down.
No.
But we flew down there and back.
I bet that was a happy reunion.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That'd have been Wayne. That'd have been one right on the outside of that plane.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, goodness.
That might have been where he got his desire to learn how to fly.
Yeah.
Eh.
Yes.
Well, let's see. After
Bruce.
that year we left Ludington. Left Beckwith. I think it was in June of '55, and moved on Warren Street into Ritter.
Is that the place with all the bulrushes behind
Yeah.
it? Near the tracks?
Uh,
I thought.
well, the track was over behind, in front of us, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Behind some houses.
I remember that.
We rented a little house from Mr. Roberts. He was.
Let me know if that thing quits, because I was
It's
picking that.
blinking.
It's good.
And then
By that time,
we didn't have any place to go. He just felt like it was Lord's will for him to resign, and so that Sunday night was our last night. We moved on into town, and Wednesday I guess, or maybe Monday. We got a call from Percy Duplessis, and he asked him would he preach or do Bible study for him Wednesday night. That their pastor had left Sunday night was his last night. That was Brother McGraw.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went.